Okay, so I just got back from Walmart and I just wanted to make a quick video on how to forgive our parents. I think that the reality is a lot of our trauma is rooted in our childhood experiences. You know, my grandmother would always say, my great grandmother, the worst thing that you could ever be in this world is a child. And you know, whether you had your innocence or your innocence was robbed from you, the reality is that you're an adult now and you're no longer this child who's in this situation where you're essentially helpless. You know, you're free from that. You're free from maybe seeing whatever it is that you're seeing or even witnessing it. And I found that a lot of times when we don't heal these experiences, we regret our parents. We regret our parents and our experiences, and we have a lot of like hostility towards them, and without forgiving them, we really can't really move on in our lives. And if it's either we dislike our parents and we dislike ourselves. You know, there's certain parts about ourselves that we won't accept. There's certain parts about ourselves that we won't show to the world and really enjoy just our entire essence, because we just feel like we are still in this space as a child and we are still dealing with self-preservation. So sorry. I don't have like a 10-step process to do it, but I'm just going to kind of share what worked for me. The reality is our parents are our parents. Yes, they are. And they have responsibilities. They have responsibilities and have responsibilities for being our parents. And that's why I try to tell young girls, you know, you want to make sure that you are full within yourself and you know who you are and you know where you're going before you bring a kid into this world. Because, you know, like your parents, if you were blessed and you have your parents, even if you knew your parents, regardless of the situation, if you were adopted, whatever the situation is, the reality is that, you know, when you don't have those things in line, like you don't know who you are, you know, there's no stability within yourself, within your life, you have no foundation, it's simply impossible to try to raise a healthy kid. So one, you need to understand that your parents really did do the best that they could have done. Like they really couldn't have done any better. I know you talk about what you could have did and you hate them for it and you feel like, you know, how could they have not known this? But when you really step back and look at our parents, like, and your parents, the people who raised you, regardless, you know, when you sit back and you look at them and you take you out of it, you take out this responsibility that you have given them, that God has given them, and you look at them, they really are just people. You know, they're just people. They have desires, they have fears, they have frustrations, they have everything that you experience, they experience too. You know, it's just like when they become our parents, we put this unrealistic person in our mind. It's the same thing with relationships. It's like we fit them in this fantasy instead of appreciating them for what they are and who they are, you know. And so yeah, you need to realize that they're human beings and they make mistakes. They've made mistakes just like you. And I don't know if a lot of you maybe had parents who were younger. My parents were very young when they had me. And I just sit and I think to myself, you know, if I was 19 and I had a kid, oh man, I think I would probably have done a lot worse. And so for me to have came out this way, I'm like, okay, well, they obviously did something right? Like, you came out, you're here watching this video. So, I mean, clearly, you know what I mean? You really aren't off you're really off to a bad start, you know? So the reality is that I'm stumbling all over my words. Oh my God. And then I think another thing what cracks me up about YouTube is just like how I always have to talk about what it is that I'm doing. Anyways, so understand that they are just people and they have made mistakes, and you realistically probably couldn't have done any better than they did at that age, at that stage, and with the knowledge that they knew, right? We are just now living in a time where all of this knowledge is readily available to us. They didn't have that. Nobody was going to read no 500-page book about no pregnancy. That just wasn't happening. Nobody was reading that. Your dad was not reading that. He was not. No, he was not. He was not, you know. So forgive your parents. They're just people. They make mistakes. They're not perfect. Neither are you. So, okay, that's step one. I guess you could say that's step one. Two is to really just look at how their bad choices are going to make you a better parent. Like, you're really blessed to have parents who really, like, screwed up, because, you know, then you can look back and be like, okay, great. Now I have a blueprint of what not to do, right? That's great. Like, that's freaking awesome. Now you know all the mistakes not to make. And 3 would be, now you know what to do. And honestly, the reality is that I think when it comes to certain experiences in life, such as like marriage and these life-changing experiences, right? Moving to a different country, having kids, there's no manual for this, honey. Nobody is rolling out no 15 declaration. There's no constitution on how to be a parent, how to get, like, these are things you just have to learn as you go through. And honestly, if you step back out of judgment, you just be like, you know what, I just hope I do a better job. You know what I mean? But yeah, so look at all the ways that their mistakes have also made you a better person. You know what I mean? Like, I think about myself, and when I was younger and I didn't understand it and I wouldn't confront it, right? Because the reality is that we don't want to confront our parents. We don't want to confront their truths and how everything that they have put onto us. We don't want to confront that. Who wants to confront that? That's a lot of work, and it's painful, and it's, because when I was confronting my stuff, honey, I was looking at my parents like, y'all dead wrong. Y'all is really dead wrong. But now that I'm past it, see, there's always two sides. There's always a beautiful side to this whole shebang here. But now that I'm past it, I just realized just how their mistakes have made me such a better person. And I just really feel like it was God's plan. Because had I not had the parents that I had, I would not be motivated. I'm so thankful that my parents actually didn't smother me, because then I wouldn't have any type of, self-motivation. I wouldn't have any desire. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have a work ethic. Like, you know what I mean? So I just feel like, no, I ain't gonna give too much credit. Some of this stuff is innate. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, so your parents, regardless of what they did, they made you a better person. And, yeah, so just going back over the whole thing, look at your parents' life, okay? Do they even have half of the resources that you have? Do they even have family? Do they even have, because, excuse me, I just got back from eating Mexican, and I had a margarita, so you have to excuse me. But, when you look at your parents and you look at just their lives and stuff like that, like, some people, parents don't even have, their grandparents. They don't have, you know what I mean? So, don't look at your parents like that. Like, look at them and really try to understand and sit with them and empathize with them being a human being. Because at the end of the day, that's all they are. They're your mom, they're your dad. We get it. I really do. They raised you. They're your caretakers. But at the end of the day, honey, everybody got mess. And just think, if they never forgave their parents, if they never, set into that space that we are in right now on this video at 7 minutes and 29 seconds. So, forgive your parents. They're the best. Enjoy them while they're here, honey. They're not perfect, but they love you, and they're going to love you unconditionally. There's no love like the love from your parents. Your caretakers, whoever raised you. It's just no greater love. You know what I mean? They not perfect, and sometimes they can be a little toxic, but it has nothing to do with you. It's because they haven't confronted their own issues, and you can't force anybody. Like, I don't care if it's your parents. I don't care if it's your friends. Let me just make this very clear. You cannot force people to grow. You can't force people to grow. You can't force people to heal. You cannot force people to change. People have to change and get the help when they're ready to change and get the help. We all know it's available. So back up off your parents. Enjoy them while they're here. Like, enjoy them. They're great. Come on, seriously. They're not that bad. Like, everybody got issues. And what you're going to find, this is what I found. I thought my family was like, what you're going to find is that everybody's family is a little dysfunctional. It's too many people. It's too many different personalities. Like, it's too much. It's too many different experiences. I sit with myself and I'd be like, dang, that's so crazy. Like, having brothers and sisters and having, mother and father, I'm so blessed. But I sit and I just think to myself, like, wow, I really don't know y'all. Like, I don't know y'all whole life story. I don't know what y'all been through like that. You know what I mean? So forgive your parents and love them while they're here. They're not perfect, but, they've made you a better person, and you know what not to do and you know what to do. And you've learned a great deal from them, and they have loved you, and they will always love you. So love your parents and forgive your parents.